All right, so this ain't gonna be much use to anybody unless you're actually gonna build some PTFE lined hoses. The rest of you guys will probably find this pretty boring, but if you're actually gonna build some of these, it might help you out. So I watched a lot of videos on how to get this to work, and I took a little bit from each one because I really didn't like some of the stuff the people were doing. So you guys could take it for what it's worth, but you're gonna need soft jaws. Well, I'm using soft jaws. Let me zoom this in for you a little bit so you can see what's going on. All right, so here's the deal. This PTFE stuff, I don't know if I can show you this stuff. Do I got a piece? All right, so here's the deal. What PTFE is it's a stainless steel cable or hose, and this is 6000 series from Summit, Fragola, yeah, and it's got the outer coating on it. So what it is, it's got a lining, rubber hose or whatever kind of hose, PTFE hose on the inside. All right, and to make these hose ends, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but if you've never done it before, it's kind of tricky. So cutting it is one of the harder parts. So somebody suggested I use some of these, but the problem is when you use these, it crimps it. All right, so you end up with that. Then you got to straighten that out and whatnot, and it's kind of a pain in the neck, you know. So you got to get it round again to start. So I'm taping it up where I want to cut it, which is right here. And but what you got to do first is you got to get this little sucker on there. It's a 3-part connector. You got the collar, you got what they call the olive, and this end. So you got to get this end on there first, which in itself is kind of a pain in the neck. So let me get that slid on there. I've been doing it this way. I've been clamping this in there and just pressing it through. Once it gets going, it ain't bad. Okay? So I get that on there like that. Flip her back around. Pick this thing up for the 15th millionth time. I'm sorry, man. It's pretty unorthodox, but like I say, if you got to do one of these things, this might be helpful to you. So here's my line. I already measured it out, how I got to cut it. So what I do is I'll take a piece of 3/4 inch masking tape, center it right on that line right there, and make sure I got a nice square edge. All right. And one of the tricks to this is you got to cut it square. So what I've been using for a line to make it square is I'm just going to do this and get me a line around the middle of it, because it keeps it nice and square for me. I'm not trying to cut it, I'm just trying to make a line. All right. And then what else you're going to do with this is this sheathing has to be pulled back about the distance of this thing. So what I'm going to do I'm going to put another line right there. This one I don't mind if it cuts a little bit because we got to cut it anyway. So put my second line there. Make it a little deep because I do want to cut the sheathing on this one. And this is how I've been doing mine. All right, so that's the cut line. This is the other cut line for the length. All right, so I'll get it over here like this. Get my trusty cutoff wheel. You want to make sure that's nice and straight. So you check it out, everything looks good, you peel your tape off. All right, so we're pretty close to the line. I got me a pair of little flush cutters here, and I just trim up the hairs. So everything's good. Now, we're going to cut that sheathing back. I already got a pretty good line there from the tubing cutter. And what this is just about the size of this thing. I found it works out pretty good. So just skin this back. I don't know if I'm in this camera here. I'm not used to doing stuff this way. Got the camera up on the toolbox. I usually got it on a tripod. So now that we got this open like this, we want to spread these little braided hose out. See? 15,000,001. Spread these out away from that hose so we can put that olive in there. And you're going to want to clean the inside of this hose out because cutting it with the fiber wheel like that has all kinds of crap inside the hose. So before you use it, make sure you flush it out in good shape. All right, so now we got that spread out like that. We take this, and you might not be able to see it, but there's a little ridge right here. And that's going to butt up against this. So you can see how it's tapered. Put tapered in just like that. Now what I do is I push it against the vise. I push it on there. All right. And you want to make sure that hose on the inside is up against that shoulder of that little olive thing. 15,000,002. So I don't mind them falling, but every time they fall, they pick up all the shavings from downstairs, down there. So you put this back in there. Clamp her in. All right. Then you take some lubricant and you push this into the olive. Like that. Now, I use a glove because I'm a sissy, but you're going to want to keep constant pressure on this thing while you try to thread this together. So you're going to want to push this way and pull on the hose. Pull on the hose until them threads come together. Okay. And now you keep pressure on it. Everybody talks about using the right wrenches for this because it don't mar it up. I don't care. It's not going to be seen, and it's not going to be in a car show. So, I don't know if my fingers are in the way for you here or not. And you just thread that on there. Keep pushing on the end of this to make sure it goes on good. But yeah, this is, I mean, I'm watching them guys on the videos and they're struggling and struggling. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. So this is the easier way I found. Using that tubing cutter to make my lines on the masking tape, and then to cut the sheathing, the thickness of that olive, or that ferrule, whatever you want to call it. And it ends up being pretty good. Now they say there's supposed to be a certain distance between here and here. I don't know what it is. You guys can look online, but I'm not getting a feeler gauge to do it. But that seems to be pretty good. So anyway, that's how I do it. If it helps you, that's awesome. But yeah, it's pretty simple actually. I was really dreading doing this because I've never done it before, but it wasn't half as bad as it was made out to be. So that's how I do it. I mean, if it'll help somebody, that's great. I taped this end up to keep the crap out on the bench there. But yeah, that's it right there. It was not that bad, you know. I probably could time lapse the video, but I might leave it in full length just so you can see how long it actually takes to make one. So that's it. If you gotta make any braided Fragola 6000 series PTFE lines, there you go. Have a good day.